Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of race number 1. Firstly, apologies if you can hear the washing machine going off in the background, but it is Sunday, which is also the wash day, so unfortunately nothing else I can do about that. But let's get into it. After an unbelievable qualifying session yesterday, wow, I can't remember but the last time qualifying was that exciting. We've got to go back, God, maybe not even before last year, probably before they made all these ground effects cars, to be honest. Just unbelievable. Right, so let's get into it. First question, what was the biggest surprise in qualifying? The biggest surprise in qualifying for me, let me start, definitely wasn't Sergio Perez not making it into Q3, because, you know, this has happened before. Well, it's actually happened 5 times. So get your head around that. Some people, I've seen some comments online where people are saying, oh, Red Bull have done it on purpose to slow his car down so it makes Max look even better. But everyone knows Red Bull wouldn't really do that, surely? Surely they wouldn't. So I think it's just a case of Perez and the car just not getting on. Unbelievable, shocker performance. I wouldn't be surprised if we do start to see Daniel Ricciardo, maybe, because I noticed this week he was on the grid, on the team table, so I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see him maybe doing a couple of practice sessions just to apply a bit more pressure to Sergio Perez this year. Plus, that helmet Marco is crazy, so I don't know what exactly lengths he will go to try and push Sergio Perez back up, because it can't be good if you've got one car fighting number 1 and you've got another car that can't even get it out of Q3. Shocking. Anyway, let's talk another big talking point. Alex Albon making it into Q3 and finally finishing up P8. I think that's a fantastic result. Both him and Logan, for the whole course of the weekend in FP2, I think it was, in FP3, were really high up there on the standings. But then in Q3, probably just didn't have enough performance as they hoped. Another shocker, Alonso just getting P9, which isn't great. And we see the Mercedes boys, again, everyone knows about their 1 lap pace isn't very good, it's more their race pace. But they only managed to get 6th and 7th. George managed to come across a little bit quicker than Lewis there. Overall, I think the qualifying session was excellent. The biggest surprise, and I'll say the biggest surprise, although we had an inkling from last week that McLaren are performing and they are getting better, but this weekend, or yesterday, for them to get P2 and P3, I think is unbelievable, especially considering that Oscar's car doesn't have as many upgrades as Lando's car did. So I think that just shows Oscar is really, really driving the skin out of that car, which is fantastic. That leads me on to the next question. Are McLaren now the biggest threat to Red Bull? I think, based on, if you look back to last weekend, I think Lando did very well, especially in the race, and they're only going to get better. Right? We've seen Aston Martin; they took a quick development, a quick upgrade, and straight away it wasn't on the heels of Red Bull, but they were certainly in contention in qualifying for P1 and P2 quite a few times. But then they've just seemed to have slipped back down again. And you know, it could be track specific, but it just hasn't. I don't know. Maybe McLaren are. I think Mercedes have gone and down again. I think unless hopefully today in the race they can prove us all wrong and all of a sudden they've got a rocket ship. But I think everyone was talking about if they was to win one race, and I think Toto Wolff even said it. He said it would be Silverstone. But I think McLaren, I think they've just done an excellent job. I really do. I think they've took their time and they've been patient with their upgrade. Everyone kept on saying, yeah, it's coming, the upgrade is coming, the upgrade is coming. And just what a fantastic upgrade it is. And I just saw a comment from Lewis yesterday saying, well, what do you expect? It looks very similar to the Red Bull. So I think, who knows next year what the cars will look like. It might be that they all pretty much look the same as the Red Bull. But we all know the Red Bull floor is probably the hardest thing to copy. And how much detail that would take and how long of a process that would be for all the engineers. But overall, are McLaren next in line to Red Bull? I'm going to wait. I want to see what the outcome of this race is. But potentially they are there. I think Aston Martin has slipped down. Ferrari, let's talk about Ferrari. Ferrari definitely leapfrogged Aston Martin this weekend, and it looks like potentially, maybe, I hope for Charles Leclerc's sake, that they've actually got on top of things now. So we'll start getting some better race results for them, because they do deserve it. And I would love to see all of the teams, or at least 5 teams, fighting it out for P1. Not what we currently got, where every single team or a handful of teams are fighting for P3, because everyone knows the Red Bulls are just going to zoom off into the distance. Even with Perez starting as low down as he is, I'm sure he'll still end up picking up a podium. The car is just that good, especially under race conditions. Now, let's go. Question 3. Predictions for the Grand Prix. So, initially I was sceptical of where I thought Mercedes was going to end up in qualifying. At one point I did think maybe Lewis is going to get it and get P2. However, I did say in another video that I am glad he didn't. The reason is for that, I don't know how those two would handle going into Cops again, side by side, or any corner, side by side. I really think Max is that far ahead, he's got nothing to lose, and would he want to allow Lewis to go? I'm not saying Max is dirty, of course, but would he willingly let Lewis take another line on the inside? I don't think so. I think those two have got a lot of issues, and hopefully they'll sort it out when they start racing against each other again. But my predictions, obviously Max is going to win. Then it depends. I think it's going to be either a McLaren or Ferrari that gets P3. I'm going to say Sergio Perez is more than likely still going to manage to get himself back up to P2. I believe the car is that quick. I believe that he'll probably get P2. If he doesn't, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't end up in the top 5. So I'm going to say Max, more than likely Perez. If not Perez, I'm going to say Charles, and then P3 I'm going to say more likely Lando Norris. P4 either Sainz or Hamilton, and George just behind. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting. So how long have we got now? We've got an hour till the race starts, an hour till lights off. So if you've enjoyed this video, brilliant. Let me know in the comments. Let me know your predictions as well before the race starts, and we'll check back after the Grand Prix.